Bora continuar aqui o game. A gente estava lá de Orpheus. Vamos continuar.
I thought I was doomed, but a miraculous thing happened, General. I could breathe. It must...
É daqui mesmo. Bora.
And the helmet that was jammed onto my head. It was a strange and remarkable thing.
Some might almost say beyond belief.
A narrow-minded fool may indeed, General, but of course you are no Durak. But even as I sank towards the floor of that lost ocean, my journey was about to take me to darker, stranger territory than ever before. And it happened like this.
Embaixo da água agora. Eita. Ele tá gostando disso.
If I have this correctly. After narrowly failing to apprehend the mad missing explorer Toll and recapture my atomic bomb in your giant snowball, you fell through thin ice and sank to the bottom of a subterranean ocean, discovering along the way that the mind control helmet you had accidentally wedged onto your head enabled you to breathe underwater and resume your pursuit across the seabed.
Eita, elétrico aqui. Tudo elétrico, mano.
General, you seem perplexed.
Perplexed? Perplexed is that the keys to my house are not where I left them. Perplexed is the fact my dog will not eat cheese like other dogs. No, Ivan Ivanovich, I am not perplexed.
Intrigued then, perhaps?
I'm not sure intrigued is the correct term either. Enraged at being taken for a simpleton. Now that, perhaps, is a better way of describing my current state of mind.
Eita, que isso?
That is unfortunate, General.
Once again, Comrade Privalov, I must correct you. Unfortunate is losing one's car in a snowstorm. Unfortunate is booking opera tickets on your wife's birthday and getting the date wrong.
Oh, was she furious?
That is not the issue! Furious.
O general tá bravo, hein?
I could speak with your wife. Would that help? I could always have a word with her if you like.
I could always have you shot.
Oh, you could, but I suspect she would appreciate the gesture less.
Quase. Estamos atrás da bomba, hein? Ok.
A kraken. A vast monster of the sea. A giant, humongous, many-armed electrical destroyer of ships and cities.
Electrical?
Electricity flowed along its horrible body, sparking and stunning all it touched, flowing like deadly rivers along its awful tentacles.
Caraca, muito fundo, hein? Deve ir mais fundo. Tá doido.
A sobering discovery. Are you suggesting that the vessel simply wandered off course and sank here? That seems unlikely even by your standards.
No, General, I only wish that were true. The mighty ship showed terrible scars, signs of having been grappled and torn asunder by some huge and terrible adversary.
It is indeed strange and curious.
E você vai jogando enquanto ele conta a história, né?
Might you almost be perplexed, perhaps?
Don't push your luck.
Embaixo? Por baixo aqui, né? Tem que abrir aqui, ó. Bugou. Bugou. Não, vou sair esse para daqui. Tava quase falando que o jogo é simples, sem bug nenhum. Aqui não. Bug.
I was stationed at Sydney Ostrif some years ago. I am only too aware of how easy it is for the imagination to create monsters when one is exposed to lonely and dark places. My men required constant monitoring.
Much like my cousin Pavel.
He was also stationed at Ostrov?
No, he required constant monitoring. He was a devil for stealing eggs.
Caraca, tanto de tesouro aqui.
I was referring to the fear that something is lurking in the darkness. Something strange, brutish, and ill-intentioned.
Again, that sounds much like my cousin Pavel.
Aqui é só para acender a lâmpada, entendi. Entendi, provavelmente para acender as lâmpadas. Ixi, mas aqui dá choque, hein? Ai, que ia levar choque. A fase aqui é em câmera lenta, né? Ele vai. O jogo é bonito, hein?
There was
Caraca,
no
mano.
doubt about it, and escape was all I could think about.
Naturally.
That and duty.
Duty?
Yes, General. After all, I had a bomb to recover from that villain Toll.
How clever of you to remember that.
Ah, não entendo onde que vai pegar essa recompensa. Não tem nenhum lugar pra ir. Mas eu não tô achando, né? Ei, quase.
But first, there was the issue of escape. Escape from a dreadful, grasping creature that consumed all it could reach, dragging anything that wandered within its clutches to a miserable doom. A hoarder of useless trophies and stolen goods.
Once again, Tavarish, I suspect you are pursuing a somewhat tortuous metaphor for capitalism, in the misguided hope of appealing to my political ideals.
andar mais um pouco.
I was like a mouse, General. A little mouse being toyed with by a terrible cat.
A rather wet mouse.
I was like a little underwater mouse.
Being stalked by a giant rubbery electrical cat with 8 tentacles.
Exactly, General.
Good, I'm glad we cleared that up. You may continue.
Eita. Vou pular muito, hein? Ai, ai. Eu achei que não podia. Eita. Ah, pra cá não tem nada, eu morri. Pra lá não tem nada. Para lá. E agora? Tá. As bolinhas faz subir mais.
Submarines. You didn't mention submarines before.
É bomba, né?
Didn't I? Why? No, Naverné, General, of course. Submarines. Millions of them. Several, at least.
Any particular submarines? Did you see names, numbers?
General, have you lost a submarine?
I am not at liberty to answer that question, as you well know.
Well, General, losing one's car in a snowstorm is unfortunate, as you say. But to lose a whole submarine, that could be considered careless.
Não tem nem o nome.
And you are certain it was M. Deveshchipidishatchwist?
Well, that was painted on the hull, so I can only assume so.
I think I know where this dismal story is going next. You somehow miraculously brought the remaining closed cycle engine online, flooded the torpedo tubes, dispatched the Kraken with one shot and
É que ele tá em
triumphantly
interrogatório,
surfaced.
eu tenho
No,
certeza.
That is not what happened at all. I did indeed make my way to the torpedo tubes, but for a very different purpose. After all, history has taught us that atomic power is not to be toyed with.
Much like tired, impatient generals, perhaps. Particularly the perplexed ones.
Indeed, General. Or like dogs that will eat no cheese.
Ele. Só corre, só corre. Ai, cara. Pula.
Determined yet disorientated hero end his days as socialist sushi? Will his daring exploits be cut tragically short by vengeful calamari? Will the general's wife ever forgive him for missing Ruslan and Lyudmila? And just how many eggs did Pavel steal, and where did he keep them? All of these questions and more may or may not be answered in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus!
Vamos pro próximo episódio, vamos ver o que vai dar. Mais interessado em acabar pra ver o que vai dar realmente.
Miraculously, I was alive. Some twist of fate, some hand of destiny, but I was alive. Strange as this new world was, I knew Toll must have come this way, and it was my task to find him. And it happened like this. The sun beat down on me relentlessly. The heat was unbearable. I was exhausted, yet I could not stop. I had to go on. For 7 weeks I trudged across the desert. On the second day...
Please, comrade, if we may. I think we can skip the details, unless you consider them to be particularly relevant to the location of Little Orpheus.
Of course, General.
Se fosse dublado, seria melhor. Muito melhor. É mais interessante.
Of Toll's Menkv aloft on their pterodactyls, carrying parts of my crashed rocket drill over the horizon to Lemuria.
Wait, the what?
Singing chasm?
Not that, but the rocket drill.
Oh yes, General, the rocket drill. But what did Toll want with it? And why Lemuria?
Lemuria?
Lemuria, General.
I am not familiar with this Lemuria, comrade.
Well, that is because it does not exist, General. Or at least, so I thought.
Olha.
crystals seemed to exert an extraordinary hold over the stone blocks and arches. When they hummed, the whole city remade itself. Where they were missing, clearly looted by some villainous thief, the city was fallen to ruin. It was like a vast musical instrument, vandalized, and yet still attempting to toot.
Poetic. I'm sure our engineers would be fascinated and baffled in equal measure. If the whole department hadn't been arrested for sedition last week, I would happily convey it to their skeptical ears.
Sedition, General? Really?
How poetic. I'm sure our engineers would be fascinated and baffled in equal measure. If the whole department hadn't been arrested for sedition last week, I would happily convey it to their skeptical ears.
Sedition, General? Really? That is unfortunate news indeed.
I am joking.
Só cai no buraco. Entendi. E tem os bichinhos de novo.
Oh yes, the Menkv were here, all right. Which meant whatever dastardly scheme Toll had, it was to be enacted on these burning sands.
And you will explain this in due course, I imagine.
Eminently, General. What you need to know first is this. I have told you already how parts of the devices the enslaved Menkv were forced to wear came from the surface.
Radio parts and so on, yes, from what you have told me. Assuming there were plenty of lost ships in the ocean as you claim, for Toll to have dredged up what he needed to assemble them.
Aha, good. You are one step ahead of me, General.
I said assuming.
Of course, assuming. Now, as I gazed in awe at the buildings rising and falling around me, I realized that the other major component of those mind-controlling helmets was crystal. Toll had raided Lemuria for them. He knew the city. He knew the crystals could amplify vibrations and waves, and was using them to boost the signal of the radio parts to exert his control over the Menkv. Which meant...
Pelo nariz.
Yes?
Imagine, General, what such amplification could achieve when fused to the finest atomic science our great Soviet civilization has produced.
Wait. I do not understand. You said Toll was planning on using the bomb to shatter the Earth's crust to return to the surface.
A tragic mistake, General. He had not recognized the extent of his mad ambitions.
You mean to imply Toll would have attempted to enslave the Russian people? Pah! The will of the Soviet citizen is mighty and strong.
To you, perhaps, as a trained warrior.
Quase que eu
But
esqueço.
consider, perhaps instead, a humble son of a toy maker from Tomsk.
Ah, yes. Perhaps we have our share of simpletons, after all.
Aconteceu alguma coisa aqui.
The vast pictograms told of a history of wonders.
Que da hora.
They seem to suggest the Lemurians were travelers from another world, where a mysterious clock seemed to stand.
That is very mysterious. As mysterious as the location of little Orpheus, perhaps.
Yes, of course, General. I am just getting to that.
É quase. Tem que ter o tempo ali. Vai descer mais. Falei. Eu falei.
As I bravely explored that ancient city, a question was gnawing at my mind. What did it mean that the Lemurians had foreseen the coming of Toll? And who was the man from above that was celebrated as the savior of the Menkv? It was almost as if they could read the future in their crystals. bells of Lemuria tolled and tolled, a roaring
Parte final aqui,
symphony,
que eu
a
posso conta.
crescendo of
Vai pra
peals that
próxima
set
fase.
the city dancing, each note causing the crystals to shimmer and cascade with light. But the sandstorm was no natural phenomenon, and the bells did not ring for celebration. Something was very wrong here.
Aside from the pterodactyls and the Menkv and the dancing stones and the ancient magical prophecies and the crystals and now the giant bells, you mean?
Apertei o B, não? Foi a mesma coisa outra vez. A risadinha dele que é engraçada. Ai caramba. Achando o bico da risada dele. Foi bem ali, ele vem ali. Ele vem ficar aqui em cima, aqui, ó. Vai, vai.
Through those magical structures, a righteous fire in my heart. I was like Dobrynya Nikitsch, prepared to strike at the dragon who threatened my homeland.
Your heroism is only surpassed by your modesty.
On the contrary, General, I chose Dobrynya carefully. Like him, I raced through those magical structures, a righteous fire in my heart. I was like Dobrynya Nikitsch, prepared to strike at the dragon who threatened my homeland.
Your heroism is only surpassed by your modesty.
On the contrary, General, I chose Dobrynya carefully. Like him, I am a simple
A gente
peasant
tem que esperar o tempo certinho, né?
that chose me to descend to the Earth's core.
It was General Komanyin who chose you to descend to the Earth's core. But don't let that get in the way of your story.
Well then, award General Polkovnik Komanyin the highest medal in the world.
He already has several of those.
I cannot take credit for his wisdom in sending me.
Levei mais na ponta. Tipo que sugando tudo, né?
What was once a rocket drill ship, built to burrow into the Earth, was now a mighty vessel, repurposed to blast off into the skies.
Quase caí.
There was no doubt the toll was headed for the strange world with its clock, although to what end I was yet to understand. But there was no time to consider, no time for questions. Was on the rocket. Little Orpheus was on the rocket. And wherever they were headed, I must head there too, to thwart his plans, recover my drill, and save the world.
Vamos por outro mundo. Que mundo será que vai ser agora?
Will our enthusiastic yet disorientated hero be burnt to a cinder by the rocket's engines? Will he be smashed into the rock that surely must be beyond the Lemurian skies? Does Nikolai Petrovich Kamanian really need any more medals? What was the strange clock, and what could it all mean? All of these questions and more will be answered, if you're extremely lucky, in the next exciting episode of Little Orpheus!
Próximo ainda pra ver. Para o espaço?
Laika!
Are you stark raving mad?
It was Laika. I am sure of it. That spirited little dog saved me.
Laika saved you in her little space machine.
I believe the correct term is capsule, General.
Don't push your luck any further, Ivan Ivanovich. I fear it might snap.
Oh, my apologies, General. In my excitement to explain what I discovered on the far side of the Metagalacticus Interiores, I got carried away. And it happened like this.
A
Com
rocky
mais uma
moon
aventura.
at the center of the earth.
The source of all creation, General. A place where time flowed like rivers, and boulders of raw matter rained like comets upon the cratered rock.
Another miraculous escape from death. Another happy accident.
It was no accident, General. Laika took me there entirely deliberately. I'm sure of that. She continues to be a heroine and a savior and protector of our great nation.
Laika died in orbit.
No, General, she did not. She's very much alive and happy, and currently living several miles below our feet.
Laika is dead, Ivan.
She most certainly is not, General.
This is the real world, Tovarish. A world where you did not go to the center of the earth, and Laika died in orbit.
In my world, General, Laika is still alive.
A better world, some may argue. Very well. I will live in your world for a while longer, but time is running out.
Ah, yes, time, General. I was just coming to that.
Contador de história ele, hein? Caraca. A Marte, o fundo do mar, agora tá no espaço.
There in the distance it stood, enveloped in a mighty time storm. The world clock, General. The beating heart of all history. The axis mundi, the pillar of the world.
Not enough to conquer Russia by drilling back to the surface with his magical mind-controlling atomic radio set there.
No, General. You see, what if he could fuse little Orpheus directly with the world clock? Then his message would radiate with every tick and every talk. He would not simply be the Tsar. He would be the Tsar of all time, the eternal tyrant, the literal incarnation of everything our glorious revolution stood to overthrow.
Menkv.
Uncanny, General. But it was somehow different.
Oxe, tá aí aqui o
I
cara
felt
que ele
no
quer pegar.
cold. The waves were motionless. Indeed, it was as if I had stepped free of those rivers of time and stood on entirely motionless ground. And there in the distance,
What?
debris from Sarya and tall slave mines had washed up here, almost as if I were meant to find it. And there, amongst it, the winking of steel led me to a blasting cap, and a plan began to form.
Vai, corre, corre. E o jeitinho dele correr.
Ferocious, explosive eruptions of fire and heat, thunderous emissions and lethal gases.
Much like your cousin Pavel, perhaps, as a result of consuming all of those stolen eggs.
Aha, General, you have been listening after all. Agartha again. But why?
You are stalling, comrade. The clock is ticking.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Of course. In a flash of inspiration, I understood. It was all wrong, you see, General.
That we can agree on.
We should never have gone to the center, because without little Orpheus, Toll could not have become the tyrant he had. The rocket drill was his means to reach the world clock, but it was little Orpheus that enabled him. And the time itself, the world clock itself, was determined to make matters right.
With a little help from you, of course.
Merely a simple pawn in a game played upon a cosmic scale, General. But a pawn who understood that he was being given a second chance to grab a chunk of the explosive resin that wondrous city was built
Pega
upon.
ela pra voltar de um jeito normal. Entendi.
And I was back. The mighty river of time roared past me, carrying the weight of the whole of history with it.
Even for you, this is a stretch. Our time is almost up. I have to submit my report within the hour.
Time, General. Time was nearly up indeed. That ancient and magical river that carried me along was surely moving inevitably towards some kind of end.
Ah, podia ter esperado que ele vai, né? Aqui, ó. Eita, vai cair. Bom que ele é animado, né? Ele tá se ferrando e tá dando risada.
Enough. No more Privalov. No more stories. No more lost worlds and space dogs. I'm full of it. It is nearly midnight, and you have not given me the adequate explanation for the whereabouts of little Orpheus and the atomic bomb.
But, General, I am about to tell you what happened when I finally caught up with the villain Toll.
I do not care, Tavarish. I simply do not care. You have worn me down, and it is time to call a halt to this. I bear you no malice, comrade. In many ways, I admire you, but time is running out.
Yes, General, yes. Time. Time. Because it was time itself that suddenly appeared to be on my side.
Perhaps the world clock was so impressed with your egg-wearing antics it decided to return you to Plutonia for a second attempt. I would strongly suggest you cut to the chase.
The chase, yes. The pursuit of Toll and little Orpheus. I stood there with the resin fragment in one hand and the blasting cap in the other, and then, just like that, a clock began to
Ele quer
ring.
morrer.
The world clock?
No, General, an alarm clock. My Slava alarm clock, in fact, given to me by Auntie Marsha.
The one who married the beef investigator.
The very same. And the moment I saw that clock, I knew what I had to do.
Yes, I'm waiting.
A bomb, General. A bomb to destroy a bomb.
So, you decided to build a bomb, eh? A bomb to destroy little Orpheus.
It was a simple plan, really, General.
Yes, you are very fond of your simple plans.
Eu dou um pulo sem apertar pra pular.
It was the last time I was to see those poor enslaved Menkv on my journey. As they scurried in agitation around the base of the rocket drill, now a dreadful weapon of war in the hands of a madman, I was reminded of my mother.
Your mother looked like a Menkv? That is extremely disrespectful, comrade.
No, I meant I was raised by my mother from an early age, of course. My childhood memories of my father were all too brief.
You are rambling, Comrade Privalov. Time is running out. Dieni Rezinovi.
Time will run out for us all, General, will it not? And it ran out for my father on the shores of Volga.
Your father fought at Stalingrad?
He did, General.
So did I.
Well, so you see, General. Perhaps we are just the same, you and I. Perhaps we are all just Menkv in the end.
De novo.
What possible use in the construction of a bomb could be found in the belly of a giant whale? Were you perhaps planning on using a worm as a fuse?
That would be ridiculous, General.
I would hate to undermine your otherwise entirely plausible account.
You forget,
Bastante
General,
por onde
the
que a gente
belly
já
of the beast
passou,
was
não é?
full of shipwrecks. And on one of them, I was bound to find what I was looking for. Fuse wire.
Comrade, yes, you'd forgotten all about the fuse until I reminded you, hadn't you?
General, your cynicism is unbecoming to a man of your rank and stature. clock was now ticking, General. Literally. I was surrounded by time, immersed in it, floating along a river of it on a raft made of history, seeking the next moment of opportunity to hurtle backwards amongst those lost worlds.
I am a patient man, Tavarish. I lost 3 toes in the winter outside Sharkovskaya in 42. A drunken dentist removed 2 frostbitten toes and 1 perfectly healthy one. You may therefore consider me a man blessed with an uncommon level of endurance for discomfort.
I hate visiting the dentist. My uncle Vanya was a dentist, and he was a deeply strange man, notwithstanding the love he felt for his pigs.
Is what?
Pula. Eu demorei muito, né?
And so to the ocean floor, and that strange submerged city, and those poor lost vessels. To find a shell case to hold all of my scavenged ingredients, the last piece I needed to construct my bomb.
Ah, yes, I have been waiting for this.
General?
Time, Ivan Ivanovich. Whilst you have rambled on and on about it, I have simply bided mine. I am a patient man, as I have said.
Yes, I don't feel I paid enough attention to the story about your toes. Do you have specially made shoes?
Enough!
Tá bravo, hein? Tá difícil também nessa
Now I
historinha
have your
dele.
full attention. Indulge me, Tavarish. Explain to me how you made this bomb.
General?
Your bomb, comrade, that you so brilliantly constructed to destroy little Orpheus. Tell me how you made it.
Well,
In detail. The type of detail that should present no problem to a man who is actually capable of building a bomb, which I suspect would be an entirely different man to one who cheated on his entrance exams for the cosmonaut program. You are uncharacteristically silent, comrade. Cat got your tongue?
if I may, General, perhaps just a minute or two to gather my thoughts?
There are precious few minutes left. We have reached our conclusion, I think.
Yes, we have, General. I gazed up at the world clock and knew I had arrived at my destination. Whatever lay inside would see my journey end one way or another. But I had no idea of the marvels that awaited me. And it...
The bomb, Ivan Ivanovich! Tell me how you built the bomb!
It was a wonderful sight. The world...
It is 2 minutes to midnight, Ivan.
Eita, tá ficando sério pra ele, hein?
It is time to end this story.
O penúltimo. Penúltimo, bora.
Let us recap. 3 years ago, you were sent to the center of the Earth as part of a top-secret mission to ensure the delivery of little Orpheus, an atomic-powered capsule. You promptly vanished until you casually wandered up to Molodiyozhnaya station 3 years later, claiming to have saved the world but lost little Orpheus in the process. Is this correct?
Yes, General, it is, but...
You are charged with many crimes against the state, including desertion, lying to a superior officer, and sedition. Any one of these charges bears the punishment of execution by firing squad.
General, you must be reasonable. I did my best. It's all true, I swear. I swear upon the lives of my
Você tá
family.
inventando tudo isso?
Auntie Marcia and Uncle Vanya, the traveling tinker and the pig dentist, or perhaps cousin Pavel, the criminal mastermind with the unhealthy taste for eggs. How stupid do you think I am, Comrade Devalov?
Ele tinha inventando tudo isso, vai ficar ruim pra ele, hein?
Subdayu, it is all true.
Maybe your toy maker, or was it watchmaker, father, who apparently taught you all he knew, despite being killed when you were less than 5 years old.
I was a fast learner?
You have precisely 1 minute to convince me not to summon the guards and have you shot on the spot.
A minute? A lifetime. It's all I need, General. I was astounded. My father, I told you, I think I told you, he was a toy maker, and he often played with clockwork parts.
Tavares.
But this made all those childhood wonders pale into insignificance. And it was fortunate indeed that my uncle...
Vanya, the pig dentist?
No, my other uncle, Sasha, had taken me mountaineering in the Urals during my childhood, for it was only by scaling these giant mechanical parts that I would reach Little Orpheus.
Yes, I had been seeking.
Parece que ele tá enrolando só o camarada aí.
Accomplished climber. I don't, however, recall any mention of this Uncle Sasha in your file.
He was a very private
He was
man.
a very unlikely man.
That was Uncle Sasha's blessing and his curse.
Achei que ia cair, que apertei pra pular e não pulou. Vi? É da mãe. O bug lá que ficou um pra trás? Ficou dois na tela, não ficou? Eu vi, pô. Eu morri.
Those great wheels and cogs clashed and boomed. Those great wheels and cogs clashed and boomed. The vast hand, those great wheels and cogs clashed and boomed. Those great wheels and cogs clashed and boomed.
E o seu bugou? O que foi isso? Não entendi, foi nada. É osso, hein? Segundo bug já. Hum, hum. Bugou e bugou legal. Ai, esqueci. Ai, Passou. Passou. Bom, passou. Ela diminuiu a velocidade.
Where was Toll? Aha! High above, on the clock face, perhaps, with his radios and his crystals.
E
If I could just reach him, I could use the bomb.
There is the bomb. You have no idea how to make a bomb. You have no idea about how to do anything one might actually expect of a cosmonaut.
The bomb?
Ivan Ivanovich! Time is up.
tá pegando pra ele, hein?
Stop talking, Tavarish. You don't know what happens
Não era
next.
pra subir nele, não?
It is obvious. You've done very well. I applaud you for your efforts and your story. It is a wonderful tale, Comrade Privalov. I have enjoyed it immensely. But every story needs an ending. And it is clear yours does not have one.
I just need more time.
I think that even if I gave you all the time in the world, it would not be enough.
No, no, General. I can do this. That is, I remember what happens next. I just need to catch my breath and compose myself.
We both know how this story ends, comrade.
But little Orpheus, you haven't heard what happened.
We will find out soon enough. You will be executed, and another expedition will be sent.
No, you cannot. You cannot. We must never go back. You don't understand.
Make me, then. Make me understand. I am a kind man, although you may not believe this. I do not want to have you shot. So help me. Make me understand. Tell me what happened to little Orpheus.
It was...
Ivan Ivanovich?
It was... it was... No. I'm sorry, General. I'm sorry, I have no idea.
Poxa, o que aconteceu?
You are right. I simply cannot see what happened next.
Aqui, ó, foi.
a blank, General. There's nothing there. I am very tired, you see.
Comrade Privanov. Ivan.
You're right. It's over, General.
Como?
Perhaps you would be so kind as to write to my mother for me.
Of course I will.
You are a kind man, as you have said. And, General,
Yes, Ivan.
was it a good story?
Oh, yes. It was an excellent story.
Thank you, General. I am just sorry I couldn't give you an ending.
Unless...
General?
Quiet, Tovarish. I am thinking. Unless... I seem to remember that there were many problems with little Orpheus during production.
General?
Problems with the casing around the atomic battery. Concerns.
Concerns,
Hoje
General?
ele era respondendo as
concerns.
coisas, hein?
Unlikely though that might be. Yeah, it seems if I remember that it failed to secure properly. A sharp blow could spring the hatch and expose the fragile casing of the bomb to any would-be vandal.
I'm not sure I follow you.
A resourceful yet forgetful hero might, one would think, take advantage of that fact.
But how, General? Where would I find something to strike it with?
The son of a watchmaker would easily find something within a giant clock mechanism that resembled a hammer, surely.
A hammer? Why, yes, General. I do remember now. I grasped the hammer-shaped thingamabob.
Let's just agree it was a hammer, Ivan.
Yes, of course. Let's do that. I recovered my senses, shook my head, and looked about me. In my distracted stupor, I had climbed further up the tower than I ever thought possible. In front of me was the clock face, and I gazed out through it at the sheer expanse of history. And I knew whatever happened next... happened next?
The hand of destiny had fallen upon your shoulder.
Yes, it had. And what an extraordinary hand it was.
Ah, e o martelo, ficar andando aqui até que hora? Fazer o que aqui, meu? Faz nada. Não tô entendendo aqui. Tudo botou, não faz nada. Não, apertei os mesmos botões que eu estava apertando e agora fez alguma coisa.
And so, Thor was defeated. Little Orpheus destroyed. The bomb lost forever.
Not just that, General. In that moment, time sprung back to its proper shape, and I found myself once more in Plutonia, the start of my journey. But the wound in the interior sky was gone. The drill was gone. It was as if I had never been here. And they were Menkv, free and happy, without the tyranny of
É o
toll, free
dinossauro
to
lá,
pursue their simple
o
lives.
bonzinho.
But we can never go back.
Never, General. One drill, one metal sphere, one lone cosmonaut was nearly enough to destroy time and unleash the tyrant toll upon our world. Who would think an innocuous beeping radio housed in a ball of metal could change the world so dramatically?
Who indeed? But tell me, what of you? And what of your return to the surface?
I stayed amongst the Menkv for as long as I could. But I came to realize they had begun to worship me as a king. No, General. I am a good socialist and could not allow this workers' paradise to become corrupted. And so I left that wonderful land for the last time.
And then?
And then I walked. For 2 years I wandered, always looking for a way home, through lands and worlds almost beyond imagination. Until one day I emerged, blinking into sunlight, and realized I was home.
Until one day I emerged, just like that? You just found your way back to the surface?
Well, General, it was a little more complicated than that. There were great obstacles to overcome and terrible challenges to face and incredible lands to explore.
Enough.
Little Orpheus is lost forever. The interior is sealed. You have returned with a story of socialism, triumphing over incredible odds. It is, as I said, enough for one night. Enough for my report, at least.
General, if I may...
Comrade Ivan Ivanovich Privalov, you are found guilty of all charges brought against you and sentenced to execution by firing squad. However, having listened to your story, I believe you are quite mad. In other words, I find your madness guilty, not you. And we cannot execute madness. And indeed, there are lessons to be learned, even in the depths of this madness. Perhaps the Americans were right to send the chimp after all.
So, General?
Get out of my sight, Ivan. Go home. Enjoy a state pension as a madman. Just make sure I never see you again.
Yes, General. Of course, General. Anything you say. I shall be small and quiet and live a life without excitement and...
Out! Until one day I just emerged. Oh. Very good, Tavarish. Very good indeed.
Tem mais um, não tem? Corrinho voltou. É uma voltando pra casa, né não? Uma onda de cebola na cabeça. O pilar do mundo. É aqui que acaba, né? Vamos ver.
Who's the best space dog? Oh, где моя хорошая, хорошенькая моя, ты просто космическая. Hey, who's the best hairy cosmonaut? It is indeed a lovely sunset, and it reminds me of the skies of Peru. I didn't? I never told you about the wonderful Sky City? Well, it was an extraordinary place, but one filled with dangers. Well, it might have been simple for you to cross it, but you were in a space capsule. I had to rely on my own 2 feet, my noshki. Feet which, I might add, had just crossed the interior, beaten the villain Toll, and helped inspire the Menkv to a workers' revolution. Oh, that's all very easy for you to say, but your idea of civilized behavior is licking your own bottom in public. No. My adventures above the clouds were filled with untold dangers, death-defying escapes, and some really quite extraordinarily large Bielorybitsa. And it happened like this.
Weeks had passed since I left Plutonia, and one evening, exhausted, I simply fell asleep at the foot of a strange windmill. And when I awoke... Oh, well, that thought didn't cross my mind. I was exhausted after all. This is beside the point, my nosy canine friend. What matters is this. When I awoke, the windmill and the ground around it had been carried high into the air. What magic was this? Что за магия? As unlikely, perhaps, as a suitcase-sized dog orbiting the center of the Earth for many years. Quite. Quick as a flash, Kakmonia, my training leapt into play, and I began to paddle the strange contraption through the clouds in search of answers. It is entirely possible that a miller who owns a windmill capable of levitating high into the air may also own a flying machine. Oh, now you're just being silly. May I continue my recounting of how I sailed over the sky gardens towards the mystical city of Peru?
Oh, I must, my mój uszaty drug. I must. What powerful emanations! What mighty gusts! What an epic squall! They reminded me of Cousin Pavel, yes! But whereas his rearward zephyrs could curdle milk and tarnish the teaspoons, these magical wafts only serve to carry me aloft and onwards. But something was afoot in the gardens of Perun. This horrid muck staining the surfaces and making my nose curl. Yes, it was positively Pavelian in scent. But it did not belong here. I think I once told you of Auntie Marsha's passionate encounter in a cable car with the manganese entrepreneur from Chatura. Now, Auntie Masha told me that there was a disagreeable stain and smell all around those factories and smelting works. Our industry is not without its dangers. Could it be that the once bucolic gardens of Perun were being corrupted by unchecked pollution? After all, science is a double-edged sword, my bristly confidant. Consider Zemikov. Of course. I apologize. Прошу прощения. Two-headed dogs is perhaps a rather insensitive analogy, but not without justification in this instance. I have seen the blemished lands around Norilsk, but I could not believe that I would find such pollution here. But this was nothing to the true horror of what was shortly to unfold.
Voltemos. Tá rodando até que hora aqui? Sai daqui. Subir na plataforma? Parece que tá, né? Não é aqui não? Que eu vou voltar? Não tem como voltar, é só pra cá só. Pra cá mesmo, como eu vou subir? Eita!
That terrible Strashnaya machina, spewing its poison into the air, had created a monstrous thing. A being, a malignant spoiler of the noble and pure, and it had taken on the form of its prey. Well, of course. No, конечно, I was the prey. The citizens of Perun had clearly long since fled the evilly sentient smog, but I inadvertently wandered into its lair.
E no cachorro tá acreditando.
Misfortune seemed to dog... Oh, sorry, I do apologize. To follow my every footstep. But no time to ponder, no time to bemoan the hand that fate had dealt me. No, all that was on my mind was escape, конечно. Yes, it was most interesting. The windmill seemed to be from an earlier age. Perhaps this was a devastating warning of the destructive power of unfettered industrialization. I most certainly had not forgotten about the windmills. I did not get carried away. You are missing the point. Perhaps because you are only a small dog. Yes, Yes, it was most interesting. The windmill seemed to be from an earlier age. Perhaps this was a devastating warning of the destructive power of unfettered industrialization. I most certainly had not forgotten about the windmills. I did not get carried away. You are missing the point. Perhaps because you are only a small dog. Oh, a brilliant, brave, spacefaring dog, of course, but a small Sabashka nonetheless. If you perhaps listened more and interrupted less, I am just getting to the explanation of the windmills.
E rolar
Yes,
pra
it was
baixo.
most interesting. The windmill seemed to be from an earlier age. Perhaps this was a devastating warning of the destructive power of unfettered industrialization. I most certainly had not forgotten about the windmills. I did not get carried away. You are missing the point. Perhaps because you are only a small dog. Oh, a brilliant, brave, spacefaring dog, of course, but a small Sabashka nonetheless. If you perhaps listened more and interrupted less, I am just getting to the explanation of the windmills. My stinking nemesis was back. But more interesting was the change in the city. The windmills were fading out, clearly obsoleted, mothballed, relics. Instead, a sense of an obsession with power was apparent. Vast engines, terrible machines, ever hungry and reliant on the rapid consumption of fuel, the production of toxic fumes and choking gases. Pride, my pushisti compadre. Pride, ambitia, ambition. The dark side of science. Zemechov's had too many. Don't be ridiculous, dog. Only a durak with the intellectual capacity of a ringworm would think windmills are in any way harmful.
Voou sem o vento? E foi nada agora. Vamos voar de balão agora? Vou subir e pular lá pra voltar. Tá. Bom.
Of course, you never had much of a chance to travel. Sarcasm doesn't suit you. You don't have the tail for it. You do, at least, have a tail. Mind you, family gossip maintains that so did Uncle Rabliem. Although it was apparently little more than a stub, and a source of considerable discomfort and social anxiety for him. The question of whether or not Uncle Rabliem wagged his stub is very much off topic. What I am trying to say is that your upbringing on the streets of Moscow meant you never saw the blackened fields of Magnitogorsk. The sacrifices made by the valiant citizens of that industrial heartland, as they drowned in their own blight, even as they powered the state forwards. I was reminded of Magnitogorsk as I wandered through those fields of pipes and foundries. And I wept for the loss of innocence that so often goes hand in hand with progress.
Tá ficando verde aqui, hein? Tá ficando estranho. Vai. Toma uma perna aí. Vai. Pô, você caiu de tanta altura e não se machucou nenhuma vez. Agora você vai ficar machucado tanto tempo assim?
Indeed. I just evaded the slimy, oily grasp of that man-made Vadzinoi, his petroleum stink clogging my nostrils and making my head thump. And I felt a great stirring within me. Yes, much like I assume Cousin Pavel. May he never get loose again. But no, quite different. This was no volcanic upbubbling of gastric malintent. No, it was the roaring fires of justice once more ignited within me. I felt a swell of patriotic fervor and knew the hand of destiny had fallen on me once more. Yes, what a hand it was. I could not see this great wonder sink into an abyss of poison and bile. The Perunians may have been forced to abandon their city, but I had saved the world once before and was ready to answer the call again.
Nossa, olha a perna. Ah. Vai.
What strange metal bieloribits are clearly designed to swim through the air? I was amazed. And there was more. Beneath the fins, I spotted the apertures of hoses and was reminded of the time Auntie Agrafina devised a contraption to water all of her copious algae beds simultaneously with one flush of the toilet by a system of pipes and valves that ran throughout her house. Можно так сказать, in a manner of speaking, yes. Her algae were most irrigated, although her neighbor Victor was washing his trousers in the sink at the time and was bruised quite severely about the face and body. But these were no ordinary flying metal fish. They were designed to expel air, fresh air, and push back the polluted clouds. There is, of course, a fine tradition of looking to nature to solve problems of a scientific or military persuasion. Yes, as you well know, my nephew Sergei, yes, the very same, poor lad with his dermatological eruptions. Well, Sergei was stationed recently at Kazachya Bukhta, where dolphins were being trained as brilliant aquatic agents of socialism. Why not then be inspired by marine life? Why, there is a fish, I have heard, that can shoot jets of water from beneath the surface to knock its prey off little tiny twigs and into its mouth. If you were to tell the average mushroom sheriff that a dog would orbit the earth, I suspect you would receive a similarly sneering response. Oh, that is because you are a small, hairy hound of uncertain parentage. I, on the other hand, am a cosmonaut, the product of many months of training, and I realized the answer to pollution was here all along. The Peronians, tragically, had simply never had time to finish their fleet. If only I could find a working, flying fish. If only. If only. Yes. If only. It made perfect sense, of course. The poisonous Duchata that engulfed Perun was like a nasty cold. And you know what to do with a cold to rid yourself of it. You may not get colds, but nor can you operate pea-shelling machinery. So don't get ideas above your station. We humans, on the other hand, may produce up to 16 million perfectly unshelled peas in an average shift. But we are martyrs to our sinuses. But to clear them, Aha! These are remedies we Russians have been perfecting over the long centuries of harsh winters. Onions. A quick snifter of onion oil will clear your head faster than a Pragviev can clear a hypothetical minefield. Yes, if I could find a functional fish, I would become that onion.
Caraca, tá subindo, hein? Vamos tá vendo o cano aqui. Ah, agora tá com a perna machucada. Ih, caramba.
I was close. I could feel it. Yes, the working fish, the ribka. I could feel I was at the heart of Perun, and my noxious pursuer had renewed its chase with a terrible vigor.
Olha que desgrama. Tô apertando pra ele pegar e virar.
Yes, the working fish, the ribka. I could feel I was at the heart of Perun, and my noxious pursuer had renewed its... I was close. I could feel it. Yes, the working fish, the ribka. I could feel I was at the heart of Perun, and my noxious pursuer had renewed its chase with a terrible vigor.
Ele ferrou.
Not far now. I just had to keep going, keep pushing. It's almost as if you knew, Pavel. Uncanny. How about it?
Sarou. Ouvi? Ele sara do nada, caraca.
There she was. A beautiful sight. Her scales shimmering in the sunlight. Her fins poised for action. Her onion cannons primed for a great aerial conflict unseen in the annals of human endeavor. And you are just jealous it was a bigger flying machine than yours. No, my bilious pal. It was time for science to fight back. Yes, my hairy compatriot. Ayachale, onwards to victory!
Vai agora. Yeah. Correr lá. Tá. Caraca. Vai ser difícil assim. Porque se eu bater mais uma vez, eu morro, cara. Bora lá, bora lá, bora lá. Concentra. Vai, vai, vai.
It was a miracle. I found myself swooping through beautiful clear skies, the strange interior sunlight gleaming on the sides of my fishy vessel. I heard birds clear their little throats and begin their wondrous
A
gvalt.
tradução foi pro saco.
Humming on the fins. And then, all of a sudden, under it all, well, you see, in my hurry, it didn't even occur to me to check how much fuel was carried in the strange craft. With a horrible splutter, the engines
Esse jogo
choked
que ele
and
mais faz é
died.
cair.
And suddenly we were plummeting downwards towards our doom. I did not. A simple mistake that many have made. Why, my Aunt Agrafina met her untimely demise being late for a fungal sculpting seminar and making exactly the same error. Only, unfortunately, it left her stranded in sub-zero temperatures just outside Pravachitsinsk. She wasn't found until 18 years after her own funeral, but was perfectly preserved. Remarkable, really. It is beside the point, yes. There I was. My fabulous ship had become a terrible prison. I was hurtling to my almost certain death. My triumph turned to tragedy. But then... Well, you know what happened next. Even so, moi magnati drug, that is a story for another time. A most extraordinary story, of course, filled with dangers and wonders, and canals, and invasions, and strange doorways to other worlds. But perhaps too long a story for now. Yes, indeed, my canine tavarish. Time for soup. Auntie Agrafina's famous borscht. Coming?
Acabou. Assim, o jogo é legalzinho, mas tem que comprar numa promoção muito boa porque não tem muita. É um contador de história que fica inventando umas histórias loucas e o jogo inteiro assim. É isso aí, mais um jogo zerado. Valeu, até a próxima. Fui.